Bret Bielema may best be known as a Wisconsin Badger head coach, but now he flat out hates them. And I'm going to tell you why. Locked On Illini, let's go.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to a special Friday edition of Locked On Illini. Thank you for making us your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Sunny Verma. You can find me at IlliniCast, or you can find me at the Sunny V on Twitter. Please say hello. Tell me where you're listening from. Tell me where you're watching from. Speaking of which, it's Friday. Let's keep the vibes good. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. It helps you support the channel without costing you a single thing. And it helps me out because I'm getting so close to 900 subscribers on this channel, which would be amazing. If I can hit 1,000 before the football season starts, you guys have no idea how amazing of a feat that could be. Today's episode's a good one. I'm going to be talking about Bret and the newfound rivalry with the team he's most famously the head coach of. The NCAA recently approved a scholarship increase for pretty much all the major sports. And then, of course, it's Friday, so we're going to drop our usual Friday Illini news and note. Today's episode is going to be brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone. Every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, so Bret Bielema is obviously most famously known for winning 3 Rose Bowls as the head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers. Last year's game between Illinois and Wisconsin has turned that relationship sour and pretty fast. Now, let me give you the context. I was at Big Ten Media Days, as you all know at this point. And on Tuesday, I actually did see Luke Fickell and Bret Bielema in a similar vicinity of an area to one another. But obviously, there was zero eye contact, zero acknowledgement. I didn't really think anything of it at the time. But then I saw an article released today by Jim Polzin on Badger Extra, and it better explained to me what might have been going on and why there might be a newer rivalry in the Big Ten that I just wasn't really aware of, at least not to the extent that it seems to be. Now, it all started with the Illinois-Wisconsin game last October. If you recall, Wisconsin won 25-21 because with 27 seconds left, they threw to a kid named Nolan Ritchie, who was lined up on the left side. He basically scored a wide open touchdown, and the Badgers celebrated, and they ended up winning. The problem here is there's a lot of fishy shenanigans that happened on that last play. You see Nolan Ritchie is a left tackle, and his normal jersey is 66. Well, on that particular play, he was wearing 93. And according to the article, Wisconsin somehow tricked everyone, including having Ritchie warm up in the number 66 jersey so that red flags weren't raised when one of Bielema's assistants was checking off names and jersey numbers on the Badgers 2 deep during pregame drills. After the touchdown, Bielema said he was suspicious at the time but didn't have any timeouts remaining. He might not have raised an objection had he not spotted Fickell greeting Ritchie in his number 66 jersey on social media video published on the Wisconsin football account the day after the game. Now, obviously this became news today, and if you take a look at the responses and the replies to the original tweet that this article was posted on, it's a lot of Badgers fans saying, this is just karma. This is just Bret crying for no reason. Bret should be a leader of men, not complaining. And I'm here to tell you that I think Bret Bielema has a legit gripe here. That game is the difference between 5-7 and 6-6. That game single-handedly could have cost them the opportunity to go to a bowl game. Now, how different would the vibes be for Illinois football right now if we were coming off back-to-back bowl seasons? Now, granted, Bret Bielema has the best 3-year start for an Illinois head coach since John Malkovich in the 80s. That hasn't really brought much excitement to the Illinois football program, at least among the fan base. There was a lot of games last year decided by less than 6 points. This Wisconsin game being one of them. And I think it also may be some of the frustrations from the year before. We all remember that Michigan game by that uncalled penalty by Michigan, which led to the game-winning field goal by the Wolverines. Bret hasn't been shy about voicing his opinions on some poor officiating. And I've said before that I think that's by design. He knows that somebody has to stick up for Illinois. Illinois is not a well-established brand in football, and no one else is going to stick up for them. Do opposing fan bases now think that Bret has become somewhat of a whiner? Maybe. Has he? Maybe. But as an Illinois fan, I appreciate it. Someone's sticking up for us. Luke Fickell, when he was asked about the play, somehow tried to divert the attention to people should have been focusing more on the Michigan scandal than whether or not he was intentionally trying to cheat with the jersey numbers. I don't even know what that means. The whole world talked about Michigan last year. It's not like that got swept under the rug. There's a time and place to talk about that, though. We're talking about the incident you were involved with. Wisconsin had I would say, lackluster first year for Luke Fickell. There's a lot of pressure on Luke. Obviously, they've been bringing in some pretty good talent on the recruiting front, but it's still yet to be proven if Luke can instill that more high-powered offense in Madison than what they're kind of used to. But to think that you would have to resort to those type of ploys to try to sneak out wins, I'll be honest, if I'm a Badger fan, I don't feel good about it. And as an Illinois fan, I'm telling you, of course, I feel even worse about it. I've said this on the show constantly. I think Bret Bielema is the perfect coach for Illinois football right now. And he has one of the toughest tasks in all of the sport ahead of him, building Illinois into a winning brand in the sport. He needs all the help he can get. The Illinois preseason projections, the polls have come out this past week, and I think I've seen them at 13, 14, and 15 in an 18-team league. There's a lot of pressure on Bret. No matter, people understand how hard this job is. But the world of college football is no longer patient. Bret knows that if he doesn't win a minimum of 5 games this year, people are going to start asking about his job security. But would they be asking those questions if Bret was coming off of back-to-back bowl games, which Illinois hasn't done in a very long time? Now, granted, they shouldn't have lost the lead against Wisconsin like they did. No one is arguing that point. And yeah, sure, they shouldn't have put themselves in that position. But ultimately, some shady business happened. And Wisconsin came out with the victory. And now here we are, the Wisconsin Badgers, Bret Bielema, no longer seeing eye to eye, even to the point where Bret tried to get that win vacated for Wisconsin last year, obviously with no success. And again, the kicker of all this is that the NCAA actually changed the rules this year. If the same exact situation were to happen in a football game this upcoming season and moving forward, not only would that touchdown not have counted, but Wisconsin would have been punished 15 yards. Too little, too late. And the worst part about this newfound rivalry between Illinois and Wisconsin, they're not playing each other this year. They won't play each other until 2025. But man, I can't wait for that one. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance: superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. So speaking of rule changes, the NCAA this week increased the reported scholarship limits for many of the sports played at the college level. Most notably, football went from 85 to 105. Men's basketball went from 13 to 15. Women's basketball stayed at 15. Baseball went from 11 and a half to 34. Softball went from 12 to 25. And volleyball went from 12 to 18. For the sake of this conversation, I'm gonna go ahead and try to keep it to football and basketball. And now, what does this mean? Well, I will tell you that Bret was excited about this new rule. They hadn't made it official as of Tuesday when I was there, but somebody did ask him a question that kind of had to do with this rule. It's been long rumored that some sort of change would happen. And Bret did say that while he didn't know what the number ultimately would be, he did say that it needed to be over 100. He said 100 was a good key number for player safety and roster depth throughout the season. He compared it to his experience in the NFL. Now, obviously, this is going to be tricky for a lot of teams. There's a lot of schools out there with athletic programs that can't just be dishing out 105 scholarships. I think we're fortunate enough that Illinois is one of them. And why do I think we're okay with this? It's because why else would Bret be advocating for it? He wouldn't be advocating for a rule that would ultimately put him at a disadvantage. I do wonder to myself the trickle-down effect, because now you're talking about also giving the better, quote-unquote, better programs 20 more scholarships. So does that mean there's a trickle-down effect? Does that mean the high 3-star that we might be recruiting may just end up taking the 90th scholarship offered by a school like Ohio State? I'm really not sure how that's all going to work out. Basketball is kind of the same thing. On the basketball front, we've got 2 more scholarships offered. But with the way basketball teams are built, is that just 2 spots that are going to be given towards developmental guys? As I alluded to on yesterday's episode of Locked On Illini, you can't just pay everybody on your team $500,000 in basketball. The sport's just not built that way. You're going to have to consolidate your NIL or salary cap towards a couple of guys, and then you want to build around them with maybe cheaper role players. But that developmental guy who you may not be comfortable offering a scholarship to, who ultimately maybe signs with Northern Illinois, well, maybe now that guy you can stick at the end of your bench for a year or two and see whether he's able to develop into a role player at the back end of his career. This new scholarship increase, in my opinion, just kind of expedites this whole process of NCAA sports becoming a field for the haves and have nots. Again, this really, in my opinion, only benefits the SEC schools, the Big Ten schools, the one that are really going to have no reason to sweat out affording all these extra scholarships. I have to be okay with the rule because my team is going to benefit from it. But as with a lot of rule changes and landscape changes in the sport recently, that doesn't mean I'm happy with the rule overall for my favorite sport. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down and we get fewer games and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to, well, FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So head on over to fanduel.com and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, like I said, it's Friday. Friday, usually when Kent isn't here, we do just a news and notes dump. It's basically me gathering a bunch of stories from over the week that I couldn't really devote entire segments to. So I just figured I'd go one by one. First off, Johnny Newton is going to be taken off the PUP list. So it looks like he's going to be able to play sooner rather than later, which is great news for Johnny and Illini fans. I'd love to see what kind of damage he can do healthy on the football field. The Olympics will be happening in Paris very, very soon, and we're going to have some former Illini participating. So I wanted to wish the best of luck to Jordan Poulter, Deanna Price, Rajiv Ram, Aaron Virtue for representing USA, and also Thomas Dietrich, Adrian Demont de Chassart for being on the Belgian golf team, and finally Rose Yeboah, who's going to be on the Ghana track and field team. So I wanted to wish best of luck to all the former Illini at the Olympics. Martin O'Donnell announced that he would step down as the Illini radio color guy after having that position for 9 seasons. And this past week, it was announced that Kerry Davis and Kevin Mitchell are going to be his replacements. Both will split the games, and they haven't quite decided who's going to do which games. So let me know what you guys think of the new hires in the chat. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you all for joining me on Locked On Illini. Do me a favor, also find me at IlliniCast on YouTube. Me and my co-host over there, Austin, did a nice episode today after a couple week absence. We're gonna go back to a weekly routine. It's more of a long form show based on Illinois sports, where we kind of go back and forth with the chat. We do all those shows live, and we plan on doing those shows live after every football and basketball game as well. Again, if you really want to support the channel, please hit that like button on your way out, hit that subscribe button. If you really financially want to support this channel, there's a link to the subtext group in this description. You get a 14-day free trial. And if you like the service, if you think it's worth it, it's going to cost you $4.99, which I'm telling you is less than a coffee at Starbucks. I know that because I had one just this morning. Either way, I want you all to enjoy your weekends. Football season is right around the corner. Basketball season will be here sooner than we know it. And what I can promise you is that I will be here daily providing you Illini content every single day, as long as you guys keep watching. Once again, enjoy your weekends. ILL, love you guys.